So today we are discussing about the backup and site recovery. Yesterday we already discussed about the backup. How can you take the backup? What services we will use to take the backup, like Azure recovery service, what we will use, and then we can create the policies and we will onboard the servers. And I have shown you how to trigger the backup, how to look at the backup jobs, all the status, everything. So today I will also touch up little bit on the Azure site recovery. Okay. So before I get into that, we missed few things yesterday. Okay. So here you see the difference between backup and site recovery. Okay. Backup means you already know backing up your files and folders means safeguarding your files and folders, virtual machines, databases for any unplanned events. Correct, na? So that you can restore the data from the backup. Okay, that is within the site only. So what service we will use to take the backup in cloud, especially in Azure, we will use a service called Recovery Service Vault. Okay, it is a management entity where you can create your policies and the policies runs automatically, takes the backup and keeps inside the Recovery Service Vault. Okay, then you may need to ask, sir, what is site recovery? Okay, site recovery means it is one of the service, okay, where we can deploy and configure our business critical applications for replication. Means, say for example, you have a business critical applications in your Western Europe region. So those applications are very critical to run the business because they are the money minting applications or public facing applications. Users will always log in, do the purchases or do the business, right? So you have to safeguard such kind of applications for any disaster happens in that particular complete Western Europe region. Okay, so such scenarios, what we will do, we will use an option called site recovery, that is within the recovery service vault only. And what we will do, we will replicate the business critical application servers itself to the another region, maybe a DR region. DR region means a disaster recovery region. Every business will have two regions, multiple regions in fact. One is that primary region. Okay, second one is their secondary or maybe disaster recovery or DR region. Okay, so whenever we sync the applications to replicate to another region, in case of any disaster happens, we can call out the DR and all the applications which are running in the primary region will be switched over to the secondary region, which is your DR region, to continue your business. Okay, that is we'll call it as BCDR, business continuity and disaster recovery. Means, imagine you have an office in Bangalore or Mangalore. Entire Mangalore got submerged. You still have some servers, the business critical servers in the Bangalore region, so that you can fail over to the Bangalore region and all the applications will be pointed to the Bangalore location servers. Because there the same database will be there, same application servers will be there, because everything is replica of the primary. Okay, and so what is the difference, you may ask? See, the backup will protect the data within the premises. Maybe you have your data backed up that can be sit in zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. But disaster recovery will secure your entire business from the entire regional failure itself. Okay, that is the difference between the backup and the site recovery. Okay, some benefits you can see here in the Azure, right? If in your on premises, if you want to plan your backup, okay, you need to have a large amount of storage. You have 100 server means each and every server is about 200 GB capacity, means every day if you take full backup, it is huge. So you have to plan petabytes, terabytes, petabytes of storage to store the backup. But in case of Azure, it is not like that. It is pay as you go. There is no limitations for your what is that, storage capacity. Okay, there is no limitations. You can store MB to petabytes also. Okay, because there we use pay as you go. Okay, whatever amount of data you store there, for that we are going to pay for it. Okay, and unlimited scaling, you don't need to worry about, okay, I have to increase my storage capacity from 1 TB to 2 TB, say for example. Okay, that management of capacity, the burden, or that overload of managing the capacity is not yours, because everything will be managed by the cloud vendor. And multiple storage options, you can define whatever storage options you wanted. You want to safeguard your application only in one region, you can go with locally redundant storage. Means you, when you opt locally redundant storage, when you take the backup, Microsoft will manage two copies of the uh, data, maybe in one copy in one physical hardware, another copy in the some other physical hardware, so that whenever there is a power outage, or whenever there is a disaster happen, or whenever there is a fire got caught, only that particular hardware will be no went go off, and you have the data in some other hardware. That is called as locally redundant. See, replicates your data three times in a storage scale unit. All the copies of the data will be existed in the same region with low cost option, and prevent from local hardware failure. Means they maintain not two, they maintain three copies of the data. Okay, hardware 1, hardware 2, hardware 3, they will keep it. Okay, so for any reason, even if two hardware get failure also, you still have one hardware, from there you can recover your data. That is called as locally redundant storage. But in case of you plan for the backup, what happens, you will only buy one big server. If power goes, that server will not be available. If any hardware failure happens, that services will not be available. So this is the problem. Okay, then next one is geo redundant. So geo redundant, we will also call it as GRS. Okay, so this GRS replicates the data to a secondary region, which is in Azure paired region only. Okay, it is a bit expensive solution, and it provides the regional outage. Means when you opt geo redundant, right, you, I mean, Microsoft will keep the copy of the data in any of the paired region. Say for example, you have your business, one is in USA, your business is there in US, Western Europe, Northern Europe. Okay, what Microsoft will do, they will try to keep the copy of the data in all the regions, secondary regions. Okay, if Western Europe goes down, you have the data in US. If US goes down, you have the data in the Northern Europe. Like that, even the regional failure also happens, you can retrieve your data in case of geo redundant. This is a little bit expensive. Okay, option. Next one is unlimited data transfer. So no charges for the data transferred. Okay, associated with the inbound and outbound. See, when you take the backup, okay, the data will get transacted, right, from one region to another region. There, they will not charge for the data movement from one region to another region, the replication. Okay, but they will only charge when you import the data, or when you restore the data. Say for example, you keep the copy of the data, you are there, your primary region is Western Europe, you keep the copy of the data in Northern Europe. Okay, to keep the data they don't charge, but whenever you are restoring something from Northern Europe region to the Western Europe region, there they will charge for the amount of data which get transferred in that, in between the two regions. Okay, that is what they call it as egress and ingress. Egress means data which get, egress means the data which goes outside, ingress means the data which comes inside. Okay, so and the data encryption, so data is end-to-end encrypted. I told you other day only, even Microsoft also don't have visibility what data get transferred in that channel, because all the data is end-to-end encrypted. Okay, with the passphrase key, and that passphrase key will be with you. Okay, if you do, even if you forget that passphrase key, you will not be able to recover the data. So that is why you have to store such kind of keys in the key vaults. Okay, and you can take application consistency backup, or additional fixes or configurations are not required in order to have the application function. Means the application consistent backup you can take up. Okay, so what it will have, you can restore that application to different hardwares also. Okay, if any hardware is incompatible, okay, if compatibility is not there, they will give you some additional fixes and they can do some little bit configurations, and they will make sure that hardware will get the hardware will run this application server. Okay. And about the retention is longer retention, means you don't have problem. You can even keep it for 10 years also. Your data backup can be keep it, yeah, you can keep it for 10 years also. Okay. There is no limitations like you should not keep more than 1 year, I should not keep more than 2 years, like that. Okay. The data retention can be longer time. Okay. So those are all the benefits. Okay. Any questions here? Okay, I'll take it as no. So the way of taking the backups, okay, Mars agent can be used, System Center, DPM, Azure Backup Server, Azure IaaS VM. Okay, so what we have done yesterday, we have done using Azure Backup Server, which is a recovery service vault. This is one of the no age. We will use the recovery service vault. Okay, so we have taken the backup. These are all the little bit legacy. Okay, but we can, whatever I have shown yesterday, that is the real-time backup. This Mars agent is there. If you want to take your on-premises backup, say for example, you have one server or 100 servers in the on-premises also, and there you don't want to use a separate backup server or backup technology. So what you can do, you can install an agent, okay, to the on-premises server, okay, and you can even take the on-premises server backed up in the Azure Recovery Service Vault. Okay, so that is the Mars agent, and System Center DPM is okay, locally attached. Okay, this is nobody is using it nowadays, but whatever I have explained to, that is enough. Okay, this is not much important. Okay, so how to take the backup? So it is, go to the Azure portal. You can create the recovery resource group, and then create the recovery service vault, create the backup policy, and onboard the virtual machines, and you can re-trigger the backup and check the backup job status. How to configure the site recovery? You can see. Go to the create an RG in the DR region. See, for example, you are having your all the critical workloads in the primary region, which is your Western Europe in our case. So if you want to safeguard these servers in the Northern Europe or USA region, you have to create a recovery service vault in the DR region only. Everything, resource group, recovery service vault, and the site recovery configuration, everything should be configured in the DR region, because you are going to store the data in the secondary region, which is your DR region. So if primary region is your Western Europe, your DR region should be any of the other region, wherever your business is there. Your business is there in now Western Europe and India would be your secondary region or your DR region. Okay, there you need to create the recovery service vault and enable the site recovery, enable the replication, do the test failover, clean up the failover, and do the actual failover, and you can make a note of failback RTO and RPO, and you can commit it. Okay, so these are all the steps we perform. So if you want to understand more about the recovery service vault, okay, see this Azure Site Recovery, we will also call it as Disaster Recovery as a Service, DRAS or DRAS they'll call it as. Okay, DRAS also people will call it as, DRAS also people will call it as. Okay, so DRAS means, or DRAS means recovery, disaster recovery as a service. Okay, so service offered by Azure for use in cloud and hybrid cloud infrastructure. The data replication process makes sure copies are in sync to the DR region from the primary region. If you look at this picture below, right, you see here, this is the complete Azure Site Recovery. Okay, so we will call it as ASR. It is called as ASR. ASR means it's at Azure Site Recovery. Okay, so here I have the source region. See, you have source, storage is there, some servers are there. You can see here. So physical servers have, it can be anything. Source can be it is VMware, vSphere, or VMs in the physical server, or it can be on the Azure also. Okay. So what we will do, we will go to the recovery service fault, and we will go to the Azure Site recovery in the DR region, and we will create the recovery service plan. Okay. So what we will do, we will synchronize all these critical workloads. Okay. From the primary region to your DR region. See, the data is getting synchronized to here. Okay, everything, the database will go off, the application servers will go off, everything will go and sit. How it is getting synchronized? We have this Azure Site Recovery channel will be there, and the data gets moved from primary region to the secondary region using the Azure Microsoft Backbone Network. Okay, you can see the ASR ensure that the data is usable state after the failover. Okay, and protecting your critical workloads for any disaster, and it support for on premises and Azure to Azure as well, and it well suits for hybrid DR setup. Means if you have your critical workloads on VMware as well and cloud as well, and you want to move, I mean you want to safeguard the on-premises, means the VMware workloads also, you can use this Azure Site Recovery option. Okay, because it's very expensive when you do in your traditional data center. Okay, imagine you have a traditional data center, there you have 100 critical, 1000 servers are there, out of 1000 servers, 1000 applications, 100 applications are very critical. So what you have to do, in order to safeguard the 100 critical servers, again you need to have 100 more servers purchased. You have a dedicated data center for that, dedicated connection, dedicated engineers. Then you have to make sure the connectivity between the primary region and the secondary region is intact, so the data will be always getting synchronized from primary to the secondary region. So it's a very expensive option in case of our traditional operations or traditional data center module. But in cloud it is very easy. It is just a click of a button. Okay. So I'll show you that. If you look at this solution, right, here we have two regions. One is region 1, another one is region 2 here. Okay, so region 1 is your primary region, region 2 is your failover region or your secondary region. Okay, see here it is the exact replica of the primary region, because whatever regions you, I mean, whatever application solution is there, right, the complete solution plan, exactly that in the DR also you should have the same thing. What we have to do, whenever you call the failover, whenever you call the DR, the end user will not come to know, yes, there is a change in the servers. No. Say for example, if they are accessing the application using www.facebook.com. Okay, even during the DR also they will use the facebook.com only. But what we have to do, whenever we call the DR to this facebook.com, we have to add the public IP of the disaster recovery regions IP. Here earlier maybe you have 10.0.0.1. After the failover, what we have to do, we have to add the public IP of DR region, which is 172.16.0.1 example. Okay, I am giving. Now when the user hits www.facebook.com, since we have changed the IP address behind the load balancer or traffic manager or whatever it is, so now the applications are, instead of pointing to 10.0.0.1, they will be pointing to 172.16.0.1. So some DNS level changes you need to do at the during the DR activity. Okay, if you look at here, you have, it's a 3-tier application. You see here you have web applications behind the load balancer, and you have your application servers. This is a web tier, this is an application tier, and this is the DB tier. Okay, there are 3 levels. Okay, so people who are accessing via websites, these two servers are there. Okay, and behind that websites there are two application servers are there, and those applications are have got the database connectivity. Okay, is this see same replica is here. Internal load balancer for Azure Site Recovery, load balancer for Azure Site Recovery, load balancer for Azure Site Recovery for databases. It is in availability set. It is also in the availability set. It is also in the availability set. So you see, it is a replica. So when you do this configuration, right, like applications behind the availability set, web applications behind the availability set, and database also behind the availability set with load balancer, load balancer, load balancer. So Microsoft will give you 99.9999% of the availability. Okay, maximum time of the availability will be there. Okay, and if you configure the site recovery using this, what you can do, you can call out the DR during the entire region goes down. You have all the replicas. See, you have two web applications, you have two application servers, and you have two databases which are in synchronized. See here, they are the data, whatever, wherever the data, I mean the application data stores, right, it is in synchronized. See, every packets will come and sit in the replica disks. Okay, then you can call out the failover and just make the DNS changes, and your applications will be available. Okay, so that is the theoretical portion. So what I'll do, let me take you quickly to the portal, and I'll show you how to configure the disaster recovery. Yesterday we have created two servers. We will try to move them from one region to another region. Okay, let me take you to the portal. See, yesterday if you look at my virtual machines, right, so I have built two virtual machines which are in the Western Europe region. So those virtual machines are still stopped. Let me select all and click on start to start the virtual machines which are in Western Europe. So what I told, to create the disaster recovery or DR or site recovery, what you have to do, you have to create the recovery service vault in the Northern Europe, or in the primary, not in the primary, in the secondary region. See, so what I'll do, I'll go to the recovery service vault, I'll create a recovery service vault, or you go to the RG first, resource groups first, and create a resource group. So I'll go to the resource groups, let me create a resource group and give the name dr-rg 01, disaster recovery resource group 01, and where you want to keep it, you can keep it in the Northern Europe only. North Europe, review and create. So now I have created my resource group. I'll go to the recovery service vault now, and I'll create a recovery service vault in the DR region only. Okay, click on create a recovery service vault, free trial subscription. It should be in the DRRG01. Name of the recovery service vault is my DRRSV01, or you can even have Northern Europe DRRSV01. Next, redundancy, it is fine, nothing to be selected. You can just review and create. I click on create. Now I have initiated the RSV creation. Okay, so try to understand, we have all our primary workloads in the primary region, which is our Western Europe. To create the disaster recovery, we have to create the recovery service vault in the disaster recovery region only. That region is dependent on your business. Your business will have a primary and secondary region. There they have configured the DR. Okay, so let this get, the deployment will get complete in a while. Yeah, my deployment is now completed. I'll click on go to resources. Before I go there, I can show you the recovery service faults here. Okay, you see, one is RSV01, which is there in the Western Europe region. Another one is Northern Europe DR RSV01, which is there in the Northern Europe. Okay. Now what we have to do, we have to move the virtual machines or application servers which are there in the Western Europe to the Northern Europe RSP, because Northern Europe is our disaster recovery region. So I open the Northern Europe RSP, and if you look at here on the top, you have enable site recovery. Okay. So to take the backup, you can go to backup. To enable the recovery, you have to go to the enable site recovery. Okay, your site recovery means the entire site can be recovered. That is called as site recovery. Okay. So now, as soon as you go there, it tells you protect your infrastructure for disaster recovery. And you see Azure Site Recovery protects your data center from disaster and helps the business continuity. That is what I told you. If something goes wrong, something disaster happens, this Azure Site Recovery will help you to protect your applications and run the business from the different region. Okay. So what you want to secure? See, Azure virtual machine or VMware virtual machine or hypervisor virtual machine. From where to where? If we are safeguarding from VMware to Azure, hypervisor to Azure, you can go these two options. But in our case, we are safeguarding our Azure virtual machines. Okay. So you have to opt the first option. You can click on enable replication. Means as soon as you select on enable replication, it will ask you to select the source informations, destination informations, and where you want to store. Okay, my source is in the Western Europe. The two servers, right? You can see now two servers here. Let me show you which two servers I want to secure. So I want to secure my two virtual machines VM01 and VM02, which are there in the Western Europe, okay, in case of any disaster. So I'll quickly go there, Western Europe free trial, select the resource group. It is test-rg02 RG disaster recovery between availability zones. No. So click on next. Now see, I can list out all the virtual machines which are there in the Western Europe. But imagine there are hundreds of servers and you have to secure only 2 application servers or 10 application servers. You have to select those 2 or 10. In my case, I am only selecting 2 because I have to safeguard these 2 application servers. Select this 2 and click on next. It is throwing an error. Let me check what is the error. Yeah. See, I can see this VM01 is in VNet 01 and VM02 is VNet 02. Okay, so since both are in the different VNet, I cannot select both. I will only select VM01 first. Okay, I'll click on next. So let me show you how to synchronize this one particular application server. Okay, and I have to select the application setting. Where you want to target? Your target is my Northern Europe, North Europe. Okay, I'll go to the North Europe and I'll select the subscription, and I will see automatically the test-rg02 ASR came, but anyway I already created DR rg01. I'll select that. And failover network, it is asking you to create a network VNet. Okay, it's already created VNet 01, but I would like to create one more with a proper naming convention. What I'll put, it is dr-vnet 01-ASR Azure Site Recovery. Okay, and what is the IP address of this one? It is the IP address is 10.0.0.4 and it should not be 10 then. Okay, what I will do, I'll change the range to 172.16.0.0/16. Okay, fine. I've added the address space, and subnet I would like to add the subnet. Subnet is like subnet 01 hyphen rsv ASR, and the address range is 172.16.0.0/24. Okay. Two dots are there. Let me remove one dot. Yep, it's fine now. So I have selected the subnet also. So now they are asking, would you like to have a storage? See, storage is configured separately for each virtual machine. Okay, if you want to view or edit storage configurations, you can edit and you can just see whatever is there. See, VM01, from this VM01 OS disk to separate OS disk, they will only manage. So I'll close this. I will click on next and manage replication policy. How frequently the replication you want to have, you can just say 24-hour retention policy or whatever customizations if you want to do. All this information they will only give you. Okay, whenever you are configuring, they will only give you all this information. You just have to configure it. Okay, and this is the automation account we use, which will always take care of the replication from primary region to the secondary region. Okay, I'll click on next. I will enable the replication now. Now the replication from the primary region to the secondary region will happen. Means that one particular application server, right, VM01, will be getting synchronized from primary region to the secondary region. Okay. So once the replication is completed, then you can do the test failover and cleanup failover and actual failover, and you can even do the commit. Okay, I'll show you that. So I can see it says recovery service vault is fine. Okay, so still the replication is going on. So what I can do, I can go to the recovery service vaults here, northern one. Just click on this one. I'll go to the replicated items here. If you see the replicated items, it is still yet to come. Okay, so once this replication is completed, that VM01 will come and sit here. I think we need to wait for a few minutes. So it says the enabling replication for the VM is completed successfully. So let me go to the recovery service vault here, Northern Europe recovery service vault, and if you look at the replicated items now, you can see the VM is replicated. See, synchronized 0%. It should be 100%. As soon as this 100% replicated, you can click on that virtual machine, and we can see there is an option called failover, test failover, cleanup test failover, commit, resynchronize, change the recovery service point, and reprotect. All these options will be enabled as soon as it gets 100% completed. Okay, so likewise you can synchronize or you can add multiple virtual machines also. Okay, now let me try that. One more VM was done, a VM02. Let me try that as well. Okay, site recovery, you go to the replicated items, you can click on replicate, add Azure virtual machine. So source is Western Europe, test-rg02. Next, I will select the VM02 now. Previously I was unable to select at one single time, right? One time both I was unable to select. Now I select separately, and I'll keep it in the North Europe again. So this one same DRRG, VNet is same VNet, rest everything is same, and I can just create and enable the replication. So even for the VM02, now I am enabling the replication. Like that, whatever applications you wanted to synchronize, you can enable the replication and have them synchronized in the DR region. Okay. So now next is what we have to do. We have to wait for that 100%. That synchronization should happen. All the complete virtual machine should be moved from primary region to the secondary region. Okay. Then you can start working on the Azure site recovery. Okay. So I think we are already on top of the time. So I'll keep it here. So tomorrow we will just continue from wherever we left out. Okay. So let me stop the recording.